business, it's no joke. Marion and Mary explore the mind, being hope and healing for these changing times. Be the change you want to see, multidimensionality. Stillness, joy, shadow work, shamanic change back to the earth. New Earth now. New Earth now. New Earth now.
They're rolling, honey. We're on.
Hello and welcome to the second episode of New Earth Now. I'm your host, Marion Porter, and I'm joined by...
I'm Mary back. So welcome back. You're just giddy with delight, aren't you?
I'm excited about this show. I am. But a lot has gone on since the last show. I loved that last show.
It was a hoot.
Yeah, I absolutely love our theme song too. And hope and healing for these changing times.
That's what they tell us. That's what
Yeah, and that's sort of our gig around here. And geez, the times are changing. The times, they are a-changing.
So today, we're talking about shadow work.
We are shadow work. Shall we delve right into it?
Jump
you
in.
want to?
We have a lot to talk about, Marion.
We really do. Well, I'm just going to preface my remarks with shadow work a little bit here. You know, there's a lot going on. I don't need to tell you what it is. All kinds of things are going on. And, you know, it's kind of hard to keep that positive attitude. Am I right? There's a lot going on.
There's lots of process. There's
Yeah.
a lot of times when you are called upon to be a certain way in a certain place, and you don't always feel up to it. And so that sometimes can cause a little upheaval and a little anxiety and a little stress. And the idea is we'd like to try to be able to mitigate those circumstances so that we can be more comfortable being ourselves in all the roles we're called upon to do.
Yeah. So with all of this stuff going on, we were talking about trigger warnings. Trigger warnings.
Right. I was listening to a show, I think it was NPR last week, and there were people there were journalists talking about trigger warnings, and someone said, it's common that there might be a trigger warning if you're going to talk about something that might be harrowing and traumatic for someone, such as suicide, or about something else traumatic, a killing. But they were talking about having read trigger warnings for things like climate change. And they were amazed that something as topical and ubiquitous as climate change should be something that you would have a trigger warning for. And I was thinking about what all that means. And basically, for me, it means this is a warning. The topic you may find upsetting. So then, what do you do with that? What as a human being, instead of a human doing, how do you be with that? How do you hold that? How do you hold your own fear that's connected maybe to trauma you've experienced? How do you move forward from that? And for me, I can't speak to anyone else, but for my own, it's been my experience that when you have a sense of being triggered, of being brought up short and thrust back into a trauma, it's difficult because you aren't your 40-year-old self or your 60-year-old self anymore. You're your 7-year-old self or your 16-year-old self. However age you were when you experienced that trauma, you get catapulted right back and you feel that same fear. So it's important for you to understand this amazing thing my therapist once told me. She said to me, "You've lived through it. What you're experiencing now is a memory of it. What you're experiencing now is the effect of the fear and the unhappiness of having been in that situation, but you have lived through that situation. It has itself no hold on you." And which came to me as a crazy revelation. Like, of course I couldn't think of that because my 7-year-old self couldn't think of that. But, my then 50-something-year-old self could understand that. And so, I would encourage anyone who has been triggered or thrown back into a traumatic memory to remember you're here now. You're here. You're safe now. And you've lived through it. And because of that, then you are in a place then to seek help. Because that's the second part. You could definitely go online and tell all your online friends that you got triggered by this thing they said on New Earth Now. But you also could contact a mental health professional or the counselor you're seeing or a trusted friend and to talk about it, because then what you're doing is you're talking about how you're feeling now and where you are now and your strength now and your resilience now, so that all those things are your reality now. And you can have and hold and work on all the past trauma, but you don't have to go back and relive it and be in it. That's the thing for me. That's the thing I think is important for anyone who's feeling over anxious or having anxiety or having nervousness or concern about environmental issues or physical issues or political issues or sociological issues or educational issues or familial issues. You're in a good place. You're on the earth and you're safe. And there are people who love you and who can help you. That's the important thing. That's the important thing. You've lived through it. You've done the hard thing already. Rah. So that's my little soapbox about trigger warnings, that it's not fun, but it's also not the end of the world. And you can move forward and you can get help and you can become the strong, wonderful individual you know that you are. Yeah.
That was so beautiful.
Well, thank you. I'm just, an earthling making do, but.
Yeah, I just want to, I want to dance in the beauty of what you just said. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. That's amazing.
Someone said the amazing thing to me when she said to me, "You lived through it already," and it hit me so strongly. Oh my heavens, I never thought of that. Because you think of yourself sometimes as a victim or as someone who's been hurt, and you can't recognize your reality of who you are now, the adult. So you could maybe be consoling to that child or to the younger self or to the unschooled self of your own making, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that trigger warning thing, though, I mean, it's a very, very topical thing, and it's almost as if they're saying to you, oh, you're going to be triggered, stay away or be worried. But I want to tell you something. This show is about shadow work, okay? The whole focus of this show is shadow work. And one of the things that gets you, your triggers, whatever triggers you and your response, how you react, all of that is something that you hold in shadow, just very much like what you said about the inner child, A lot of this, whatever these triggers are referring us back to a past trauma, as you wonderfully said. And, if you think back, the great psychiatrist, psychologist, Carl Jung, pioneer of shadow work, that was his jam. And I even wrote it down. I got notes here, y'all. We got a lot to cover. But shadow work is a type of psychotherapy. He's a psychotherapist. That's what he is. Shadow work is a type of psychotherapy that focus on the parts of the psyche that people repress or hide. So this is based in, you go to school to learn this. This is not like some kind of a woo-woo, new agey kind of crazy concept. This shadow work, I'm going to tell you, shadow work is your key out of all of what's going on right now, because we're all reacting to everything. You can't turn on the news without being bombarded. Go talk to anybody. There's so much competition for our headspace. You don't know where to go with it, and it leaves you in that feeling.
But why turn on the news? Why
know,
turn
but-
on the news?
well,
I mean, yes.
exactly.
I mean, when I was growing up, when you grew up, you came home from work, you sat down, you read the paper, you turn on the news, and you watched the news. You watched
Yeah.
the news every night, and then you had either dinner before or after. And that's what everyone did, because that's how it was. But you don't have to watch the news. You don't have to watch it 24/7. You can go online. You could read some headlines if you really have to, really want to. You
Yeah.
could listen to your favorite program, but if you're getting to a point where you're muttering in traffic and you're swearing under your
Yeah,
breath
yeah,
and you're taking the head off the first person that brings something up to you, then perhaps you need to take a step back. Perhaps
watch a comedy.
perhaps
Or you know what they could be watching? They could be watching the Community Voice channel right here in Bolton, Connecticut. Thank you, Community Voice channel, for this opportunity to have this show. Seriously, if you like this show and you like what's going on here at the Community Voice channel, you want to learn more about cable access, I'm gonna put a link right down here. Right down here, there's a link for you to this camera. Right down here, there's a link, and. You know what? Check out everything that the Community Voice channel has going on and maybe see ways that you might want to volunteer or help out. So, yay. Thank you. That's what they can watch. No, but it's exactly true. It's exactly true, I mean, I remember being a kid, Vietnam War, eating dinner with it happening.
what happening. And after the news, then there were the lists, the names of the dead and the missing. You just go to the bathroom and cry. That's what I did every night for years. And, that was my normal thing. And no one said, don't let the child watch the TV, because they didn't think ahead like that. They didn't think we paid attention, that we knew what was going on, and that if we did, that we didn't care. But, there were, those are terrible times. And then as adults, we grow up and try to shield our kids from those things.
Yeah.
And so, but it's all based in our own trauma. And, trauma too, I have to say, triggering, I was thinking a lot about, it doesn't have to be a giant thing, like a war, or a horrible situation. It can be something simple. I want to give an example, because something that's happened to me recently. I was doing my Duolingo, like you do, and I made a mistake on my Italian. I've been doing this for 630-something days, and I still can't always remember that all the endings have to add up and all the different endings have to be the same. So I'll get something wrong, and that little red sound goes off, and I just like, and I'm thinking, why are you getting so inordinately upset about getting this language thing wrong? This is just one thing wrong. You do this all the time. What? And I followed it back. Like, you ask yourself, when was the first time I remember feeling this way? When did this start? And I followed it back to like middle school, when I was in 7th grade, and I was, I was in a school where they decided, when you're in 7th grade, you should start taking French and Latin, and that's what we did.
My God, 7th grade though?
Yeah.
7th grade.
Right.
No.
So suddenly, as a child who had some significant struggles with learning particular types of things, and at that time, learning disabilities was not a seriously studied or even identified field. And chances are, if I were in school now, I'd be, having IEPs and having some help. But the back of the time, here I was, doing my best, but I was doing French and Latin the same time.
My God.
Yeah. And so part of this process of this education, this little private school I was at, was to every 2 weeks you went into the headmaster's office and he read you your grades. He read you your grades with your number grade and as well as an effort grade.
Oh my God,
So
how intimidating.
It was definitely a little bi-weekly trauma. So you went in there with your little notes to write them down, knowing you're going to show your parents your grades. And he would read, he's like, he'd make little comments. He's trying to be supportive. He was a sweet, dear man. But I think I was a little bit perplexed. English 98 with a 1 effort. That's just great. You're proud.
1 effort.
I was doing great. I was trying hard.
1.
One, great. And then he'd be like, let's see now, Latin, 42. With a 1 effort. Whoa, well, isn't that interesting how that can happen? And he'd go on to French, 41, with a 1 effort. You're working very hard. I'm like, yes, you can say it. I'm working very hard at failing. But the point of this little stumble down memory lane is that as an adult in my bunny slippers, doing my Duolingo, I can get something wrong, and it's not about putting the wrong ending on this Italian word. It's about being in Mr. Stiggy's office with my pen, writing down my terrible, terrible grades that I never had to bring home and show to my parents. And that is what I'm reacting to.
Yeah.
So that's the part I need to let myself off the hook. So now when
Yeah.
I'm doing Duolingo, I'm like taking little Mary and saying, it's okay, sweetheart. You lived through that. You're not in his office anymore. Your parents aren't going to scold you about your grades. And it's okay if you get something wrong on Duolingo. It's just a simple thing, a simple little thing like that can catapult you into this horrible little place.
Yeah.
And that's where you need to have compassion. You need to have compassion for yourself. You're kind of compassion for yourself that can't remember that you need to make the endings agree in Italian, even though you've been doing it for over a year. But you have to have also compassion for your younger self, who just could not manage 2 new languages. My mother would say, but you're so
7th
good at
grade.
English. I'm like, but I don't speak Latin or French. I speak English. I know.
It's just insane. You're just learning how to style your hair and what clothes to wear.
Barely.
Yeah, oh my God.
Barely.
Yeah.
But, it was a system, and I was in the system, and it was grinding on, and I got ground under. But it helps me now to cut myself some slack as an adult and not get so harried and crazy over the Duolingo.
And that's so what this is all about, though, because if we're constantly in these various triggering states,
Or if we don't follow them back and identify what the problem is and do anything about it. I think that's the part for me that is key, is that it's so easy to just go, oh, I'm not doing this ever again, and like do the next thing, or just go get more coffee or play with the cat. But until you stop and say, it's okay, you can, and certainly if there's something more serious than 7th grade French grades, there's help, and that's where you come to find the people who are able to gently bring you back to those places, to remind you that you're safe, that you've lived through the trauma, that you can do the work to release yourself from having to replay those feelings over and over, to release you from that trigger.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to delve into a little bit of how that's done right now, because, if we're all in various states of being triggered, and we're all in like our whatever age we were when we have these triggers going on, we're all just a nation of children just fighting our way through everything, and the important thing you said of identifying what it is and going back, seeing what it is, it's basically, our inner child and the cry of what our inner child really needs to hear, So I want to go over a few of the terms. I think you get inner child, but your shadow self, shadow work, it sounds scary. It sounds like, oh my God. But, it kind of is that. It kind of is that, You can consider it, things you hold in light, things you hold in shadow, Shadow self, it's the parts of ourselves that we just don't like. We're repressing it. It's someone that just not good enough, feelings, no, anything of that. So you're kind of, it's your thoughts, feelings, impulses, just things we just can't bear about ourselves, the first time you experience shame, all right, what were you doing, and it's always like an adult, a caregiver, a parent, what are you doing? That's bad. Oh my God, your whole world's come to an end. No, no, no. And right there, it's almost like,
There's a surprise of them yelling.
Yeah.
There's a surprise sometimes of not knowing someone's observing you in a behavior.
Yeah.
There is the horror of being yelled at. The loud yelling can be an assault. It truly is. And so you remember that, and you remember the volume of it. If the sounds were scary, if it caused other people in the room to look at you as well, and so
Yeah.
you have the sense of humiliation and besides the shame. So there's a
Humiliation.
lot of layers
Yes,
there.
yes.
So why would anyone want to consider that? Why, Marion, would anyone want to go back to that?
well, you wouldn't. And here's the thing. Here's the thing, because it's such an out of the ordinary thing. It's the first time that any of those combinations of things have happened. You can almost think of it like, boy, that's leaving a mark on your hard drive. That's right there. That is right there on your hard drive. And you don't want to think about it. You just I don't want to know about that, and you power that part of you down. And that's really an important thing. I just want you to consider this for a moment. If you think of, like an energy spectrum, a bandwidth, if you take a chunk of that bandwidth and power it down, if you're supposed to have 100% of a bandwidth, you might only have, I don't know, 98%. All
the next
these
time takes a little
Yeah.
chunk of you away.
Yeah.
So if you keep continuing to have harrowing experiences with abusive family, or even just overstimulate, sometimes it's not even an abusive family, but one that's aware that loud noises traumatize you.
Lord,
You know,
yeah.
sometimes
Oy.
trauma comes out of overstimulation or misunderstanding, or fear of what the consequences might be if I share something with you. I remember when my daughter came out to me as being gay, I knew when she wanted to talk to me where kind of we were heading with this conversation, but I didn't say anything. I let her get there on her own, because I felt it was important for her to do the work and to be able to say what she wanted to say, and also to understand that when she did, nothing dreadful happened to her, and I was still her mom, and I still loved her, and I knew, and that was okay. And, from there, she was able then to say, well, phew, now I can tell Dad, So the point is, though, it's fear. There's, like we talked about the very
Yeah,
first time,
yeah.
there's things come from fear, they come from love. And you were either coming from a place of fear or you're coming from a place of love. And if you have been put in a place of fear, the next time you encounter an opportunity that you perceive could bring you back into fear, that's where you start to avoid things. That's where you avoid memories, and that's where you avoid dealing with it, and that's where you avoid anything again. I'm not doing that again. I'm not taking another language again. Forget that. So there are consequences to not dealing with the shadow side.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something right now. Talk about, how I said you got your bandwidth and it's going to take a little bit of that away. Imagine now you're going through life and you're going to pick up a whole lot more things that are going to trigger you back to something, And each new thing is something you need to avoid. I mean, how much of your energy are you giving away avoiding this type of thing? It literally, if you are avoiding things that put you, if anger is one of your things that you're trying to work on, and you're constantly avoiding anger, that means you're constantly thinking of anger. You are constantly going to be put in places that make you angry because you've not kind of dealt with the issue,
It also keeps you in fight or flight.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no coming down from that.
Yeah.
There's no sense that I'm ever going to be safe around grown-ups or authority figures or teachers, whatever, or, annoying relatives or abusive coworkers or whatever the source of agitation is, or the source of trauma is. it's natural to want to avoid confrontation.
Yeah.
It's natural to want to avoid pain, but to always be in the constant stress or fight or flight because you only have so much bandwidth left to deal with because you've sacrificed so much else
exhausting.
to the shadow. Yeah, it's exhausting.
Yeah, because the thing of it is, and it's no surprise here, most of these shadow parts we've picked up when we were young, like the first time of this, that, and the other. And then, each time something happens, it's like creating a new file on your hard drive. And if you will, as you go through life, it could be pretty much like, okay, we've just experienced something that triggers us back to it. Oh, this, I'm going to save this on this file. And so as you go through life, you're just accumulating all of these events that trigger you back. And I got to tell you, I lived that night. And you know what? I'm not gonna say that I'm free of triggers, because clearly I'm not. But I started doing shadow work. I always kind of did it, but I was facing a particular diagnosis that I was not wanting to have. All right.
That's good.
Now, I'd always been familiar with shadow work. And here I was. I needed to kind of change my mind, change my mindset, change the way I be and do life. So being a shaman, I kind of journeyed to that body part. What is it? It was my colon. I'm just going to come right out and say it was my colon. I'm in my colon. And the point of it is, I sat in it and I just thought, okay, what is it? What is it that is so wrong about me? That's your first step of shadow work, in a way. And basically, I was told that I was inflexible. I was rigid. I just couldn't let anything go. I was
That's your
just,
colon.
yeah. And it just, I didn't go with the flow, any of that stuff. Anybody that is watching the show that knows me and is familiar with my water medicine reels that I like to post, I became a water medicine carrier from studying this whole thing. Like, I got water medicine, but, I had to sit and do the shadow work behind that. I mean, imagine a body part telling you these things, like you do.
Just like you do.
I've left people for this, and I'm pretty sure they've left me for this. And I'm like, okay, shadow work it is. So I sit there and I go over why shadow work is the ultimate accountability. I had to look at everything that was a blockage in my life, if you will. I had to look at everything that just was all of those things that I just said about myself. And then I had to look at where I'm at in life, where am I being a blockage to my own life? And that's really where my passion for shadow work came, and why I was thinking, this is the time for everybody to know about shadow work, because it was very freeing for me. But before I get into that too much, I kind of want to get back to some of the terms I'm talking about. We spoke of triggers, and you can think of the triggers as like all the little files that go back to that main event. But there's also projections, all right? Triggers are important, but projections, that's...
What are projections? Give us an example.
Oh my God! Oh, that's our judgments. I'm on my way to this show. Here, I'm going to make this real time. I'm on my way to this show. I forgot something. I had to go home. I live right around the corner, Bolton Girl. but right around the corner, and I'm like, I'm stressing out. Oh my God, I've got to let everybody know that I'm going to be late. This is going to be really bad. Projection, projection, projection. Literally, I had to do shadow work on my way here in real time. Projections are.
So what did you do? I want you to follow through. What did you do?
What did I do? I sat
you
there.
called me, and
Yeah,
we were out
I
with
sat
the-
there and I said, well, wait a minute. What am I really doing here? It's not a big deal. I just can go home, get what I need to do, and come back. It's not the end of the world that I was projecting it on. That is one of my fears, you know. I'm very much into being punctual, very much into
not letting people down, or
Right,
being responsible.
right,
And if this
right.
is my show, I should show up for it.
Yeah.
So you called me, and I said, Marion,
Yeah.
of course, I'll just
I
meet
left you on
get there.
hold because
Leave
I
me
had
on
another
hold.
call coming in. I created some craziness
You created a lot of stress for yourself
Yeah.
based on some prior.
that I didn't even need to do, and it's a projection.
So what can you do next time, Marion? If you're going to be late and you're starting to, we're going to go. How do you stop yourself? How do you stop yourself? And how does that stop from being an issue with your driving? And how does that stop from being an issue, you know, with looking for your phone? I mean, real life. Like,
Yeah.
how do you do that?
Well. So what I caught on to it, sort of in the moment and slightly after, but
So what would you do? Take a breath? I want to follow this because
Well, yeah.
this is okay, because we're not going to cover things like sexual abuse. We're not going to
No,
cover things
no,
like
no,
your
no.
house burned down.
No.
But this is a little kind of
Yeah.
trauma, a little kind
Right.
of trigger that everyone recognizes. And if you can get good at the little ones, then the big ones aren't as scary. So
Right.
I'm going to push you on
Right.
this.
Well, no, but the
So
thing of it
what'd you do? You
is-
take a deep breath? Did you remind yourself this and they understand, it's not a big deal? How did you stop the trigger from escalating?
In all honesty, you did when you said it's your show. It can't start until you're there.
There's that.
But I
So
went
if you ever
into a
call
whole
me, you'll be
drama.
fine. But
yeah,
no-
but I wouldn't. But you know what? The most important thing is, you know, I did reach out.
You did.
I did reach out, and I wanted to make that clear.
Yep. And I love it when I'm the voice of reason because
Yeah.
that's kind of funny.
Yeah, no, but the
Anyone who
thing-
knows me knows that I'm not the voice of reason.
Right.
But I'm glad I could provide that for you today.
No, I was, but the thing of it is, you can't always catch it right in the moment. You know, the more you do it, you catch it in the moment. But my judgment of
Yourself.
this is going to be a nightmare because I forgot something. You know.
That's putting yourself under a lot of pressure
Yeah,
for perfection.
and this
Marion.
is the thing, and I kind of released myself on it, but you know, it gives me some real-time things to show you, you know, I do this in real time throughout my day. I wanna gain some clarity
You wanna catch
with
yourself.
everything. Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
Well, because the thing of it is, if you don't catch it, you know, projections, triggers, yes, they go back to time. I don't want to live a chaotic life. I don't want to get caught up in all of this craziness that we're getting caught up in all over the place, you know? And everything is time, rush, do. That's our society. And I'm trying to keep myself out of it. So yes, I've identified what happened, and you know, at least I didn't catch on to it days after. You know, sometimes you're doing shadow work on things that happen days after. The turnaround time gets a little quicker when you're doing it all the time.
When you're conscious of the fact
Yeah,
that it exists, it can be done.
that's the thing. You want to get conscious to it. You really do. The more shadow work you do, the more conscious you become of your actions, and the more consciousness I think you get, the more clarity you get to whatever the issue
Well, when you-
originally is.
When you reclaim some of that bandwidth you gave up
Yeah.
to not thinking about a topic or expressing yourself around a topic or
Yeah.
dealing with a topic. Once you regain that, then you're stronger, because then the next time you have to do something else, you not just have more bandwidth, but you also have success
Yeah.
to fall back on, because
Yeah.
success is
Absolutely.
wonderful,
Yeah.
exhilarating.
You know, but I'm in the moment, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a perfect trigger and projection story, literally on my way to the show. I'm doing this, you know. But I kind of want to go into a little bit more of
Projections.
of projections, but I do love to tell the tale. Maybe we'll refer back to it. But another thing with projections, do you ever meet somebody and you're like, oh my God, I can't with this person, you know? Or there's somebody that is constantly pushing your buttons, you know? It's a slightly different kind of trigger thing going on here. You want to sit there, what is it? What is it about this person that's pushing my buttons? Because, you know, and I think I said this in the last show, no matter how many people are here, you know, you're all out there streaming this somewhere, you know, sorry, I didn't mean to hit you. Oh, you're warm and cuddly. You know, no matter how many people we're reaching right now, I am directly talking to right now, there's only one, and it's me, you know. From my perspective, there's only one of us, you know, and you guys are here. From your perspective, there's only one of you. It's all you. This is so.
I find that this resonates with me in a big way.
Yeah.
I have a sister who's fairly close to my age, like 2 years apart. And I can tell you right now, the things that drive her craziest about me are when I'm acting like her. And the things that really make me nuts about her is when she acts just like me. You know, in fact, the meanest thing you could say to each other is like, you sound just like Dad. You sound like Mom. Not that. Oh, not that. But it's true. The people that are closest to you, the people who are most like you, are the ones that know you the most. Because it's like a big mirror. You're seeing something that you find unflattering, or you don't enjoy about yourself or enjoy about other people.
Yeah.
And you just shudder to think about it, but it's easy to pick it apart in someone else. You're always doing that.
But I love what you said, because if there is only one of us, you know, where is this camera to look at? There we are. Hi. And I'm not cutting it out either. It's funny. So listen, there's only one of us here. So you are a perfect mirror of me. So if there's something in you that I really admire, it's because it resonates with me. You said the word resonate. We have that in common, you know. But if there's something in you that, oh my God, I can't take it. I can't take this one. No. Well, if they're the perfect mirror of me and they're mirroring that back at me, if that's what I see, geez, you know, maybe that's something I need to work on. What am I calling this person? You know, I'm not going to say it because I'm talking to myself, but you know the words. You know the words. So whatever I'm saying, you know, you are, I am. Because I'm feeling it with you. You get that? It's like, oh my God, that's why. And so here's the thing. If I no longer want to have a problem with you, well, you know, I think it goes back to what does Ram Dass say? The only thing I can do for you is to work on me. The only thing you can do for me is to work on you. And the only thing I can do for the world is not something for the world. The only thing I can do for the world is work on me. You know? But back to the person that's bugging me. What is it about that person that's bugging me? That's something I have. So what is it? I find them, let's just say, pushy. I find them pushy and loud. All right? Well, certainly I'm not pushy and loud.
Never, never.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So, all right. So I'm going to do some work on that. What does pushy and loud mean to me? Well, they want to be seen. They want to be this. Well, no. Well, okay. They want to be seen. And if I don't like that, where did I not want to be seen? You get it?
Kind of.
Where? Yeah. So if you're pushy and loud, and I don't like you because you're pushy and loud, that means I'm pushy and loud. It also could be, well, you're pushy and loud because you just need and are crying for attention. Well, when I grew up, no, children were seen and not heard. You know what I'm
And
saying?
they weren't allowed to have those angry emotions.
And
no.
so who else's voice is operating in there right now is the parent, seen and not heard. You should be seen and not heard. What are you doing? We've got company.
Company.
Right?
Yeah.
Was that real? Seriously. And so, all right, I need to take a look at that. I need to do some work. This is where I first found it. How does it make me feel? Run it right down the rabbit hole. And then when I meet you again, I'll be like, hey, what's up? How are you? I am not going to necessarily have that on that level. And I might even not see you as pushy anymore or loud. And we can move on. And they're not going to feel like I am got this grip on them of avoidance, because trust me on this, you feel the energy. The other person will know that you feel some type of way.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel some type of way because they're feeling some type of way.
Can you go back a minute? I know
Yeah.
we're getting close to the end here. I want to hear a little bit more. You said you do the work on it. What else does that work look like? Like, say more words about what that entails.
Right. Well, I got
Like, you going
notes to
back-
keep me on track in case I got off track, so that's good.
Going back to, like,
Well,
since your parents, companies
Yeah.
coming, don't be pushy, don't be loud.
Right.
You have to be seen and not heard. You being polite, you being a good host, all that. What else about that? How do you release that?
Well, so
Just own it, recognize it. And then
well, the biggest thing is you want to feel it. All right, you want to feel it. So what am I? I'm almost 62. And I'm dealing with maybe 3-year-old me, let's say. So 62-year-old me encountering this person, I might respond to them from 3-year-old me. I might be a complete and total idiot and say some crazy things that I'm literally going to say I forgot because 3-year-old me was saying it and 62-year-old me most certainly did not. But I'm going to sit with 3-year-old me, I'm going to sit with 3-year-old me because what does 3-year-old me want to say to me? And I'll tell you what, 3-year-old me wants to say, but I'm worthy of being seen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cute. I want to tell you my funny joke that I practiced today. I want to be seen. I'm good. I am a good person,
So can 62-year-old Marion then say to 3-year-old Marion,
Yeah.
it's okay, sweetie.
Yeah.
You have your chance.
Yeah.
You can sit with us in
Yes.
the room. You can come into the
Yes.
vacuum living room and
Yes.
sit on the
Listen.
good couch and have your cookie.
Yeah.
And we want you here because we enjoy your company too.
Yes, absolutely. Because,
And once you've comforted 3-year-old Marion and she feels better because you're from a grown-up that she was welcome, then she can be less apt to feel that someone else is being pushy and inappropriate to
Yes.
company because that's no longer
Yes.
an issue for 3-year-old Marion.
Yes. And so 3-year-old Marion, I'm going to spend some time with. Chances are, your inner child just wants to be seen, heard, validated, loved.
This goes back to Jung, and I want
Yeah.
to tell you that there was a very, very successful process a therapist used with me. It was called developmental needs meeting strategies, and what that means is anywhere along the hierarchy of needs, shame versus fear or doubt, autonomy, those kinds of. But and if you haven't had a need met in your development, it's going to stay unmet throughout until you go back and meet that need. So I know that this is the kind of work that you can do privately in yourself, in your home, in your own meditation, but it's also something that therapists are trained to do to help you with. That you can find help in going back, retrieving the parts of yourself that were shut down in your childhood, that were not allowed to be, or not honored, or not welcome. And you can reclaim those parts and your bandwidth, and you can go forward from there.
Right. I love that because that's what it is. Because so if we're dealing with feelings of self-worth, I'm going to constantly maybe view people as being pushy and loud. I'm holding that in shadow. So in sitting with 3-year-old, me, like I'm holding her, I love you. Yeah. Yeah. But if I'm sitting with 3-year-old me and allowing her chance to say and to grieve, instead of feeling like I'm not worthy, you bring it into the light. So something from the shadow, I'm constantly, it's ruling my life in a very negative way, constantly referring. You bring it into the light, and it's no longer I'm feeling worthy. It's like, I deserve to be here. I am not like shrinking.
I'm welcome
from that.
too.
Yeah. I have a seat at the table.
And
it's
to little
okay.
Marion, you're as important to your parents as these people visiting.
Right.
Because that sometimes feels like what it is, that they're more important than I am, and I have to go away now
Right.
so that you can be with them.
Yeah, and so, but if this guy's constantly, not guy, but if this person is constantly triggering me, I might not be very nice back. In doing this work, it's again accountability. Why am I acting this way? This sort of stops that, and by bringing it into light, I have more of me present. I don't have 3-year-old me as something to refer back to anymore in that respect.
So you weren't pushy and loud.
Right. I'm just on
Not
a show
that you
now.
were.
I'm just on a show now.
What you're doing is you're getting attention in an appropriate way.
Yeah.
You're sharing your ideas in a welcome format.
Yeah.
We're not done with this, are we? We're going to talk about shadow work again, aren't we? For a
We
while
will.
longer. Yeah.
We will.
Okay. I did want to say a couple of things before we do end, because I know it's coming up shortly.
It is.
In anticipation of talking about, we were kind of working through our lyrics of our theme song, and we were doing shadow work and then Back to the Earth. So I'm going to do more about Back to the Earth come another one of our shows. But I wanted to leave you a couple of things I was thinking of that I wanted to share that I didn't last time. And one is, very profoundly came to me. Someone said to me once, you came here to succeed. That was so big. I came here to succeed. So therefore, the odds are with me. Another thing would be, what I actually embroidered on the hem of my wedding dress, is what would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? What would you do? What would you try? Would you write a book? Would you sing and dance? Would you have a show? Would you learn a new language? Would you get married again? What would you attempt if you knew you could not fail?
Oh, I love that.
That's such a freeing thing. And then something I've been thinking about myself recently that I thought maybe I'd make you think about. If I got to think about it, you got to think about it too. In what way? How would your life change? And would it change? And would you change if the Earth was alive? If this wasn't just a dead rock, if this were a living being, how does that change things for you? How does it? Does
Yeah.
it change things for you? Does it? I mean, people are still struggling with our trees sentient. Okay, we'll get there. But think about that. Next time you're out there, just how would it change for you? What if the Earth were alive? Anyway, that's just me.
I love that.
Those are my notes. I had to cover on my little notes here.
I'm so glad you did. I'm so glad you did. So just to wrap up a little bit about the shadow work and your inner child, you know, we are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the ones, you know.
We came here to succeed, Marion.
Yes,
We came here to
yes.
succeed.
And so when you think about, you know, what we did here and thinking about, you know, what is it that's triggering you? What is it that is bugging you? When did you first feel it? Think about, you know, your childhood trauma, any parts of your life that triggers you back to. The more you work your triggers, the less triggered you will be,
And-
the less affected by your environment you will be, the more consciousness you will have. And the more consciousness you have, the higher your vibrations are, the more possibilities you have available to you. When you're in some lower vibrations, when you're just dealing with anger and fear, guilt, shame, those are lower vibrations. You see, I'm just kind of withering a little in my possibilities. There's not a lot of possibilities available to me because I'm feeling victimy. The more shadow work you do, the more from the shadow you bring into the light. You're no longer in victim mode, and you're in what I like to call hero mode. You are the hero of your story. You are writing your story with each step you take on your path, and you are able to see things differently. The more triggered, the less you see the world. As within, so without. So as you work your triggers, the world you see becomes beautiful. Behind us is this misty morning photograph that I thought would be good for shadowy, you know, it's the fog. And the fog will lift and you'll see just how beautiful this world is. And if you could see how beautiful this world is, then we would be seeing new earth and feeling new earth. And I thank you for tuning in. If you like what you see, hit like down there. You're streaming it. Hit like and share this with your friends. Share this on your pages. Text it to your friends. We want to change the world, and shadow work is the key to everything. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
New Earth Now is on TV. New Earth Now on CBC. New Earth Now.